The original text of this story contains links back to all referenced prior stories for context. A link to the text post can be found in the video's description.
I couldn't stay out for long. Me, this Mo Phillips thing, my continued petty crime spree. I am drawn to it like a moth to a flame. Consistency with my prior edict to use Mo Phillips for net good remains in place, at least. First things first. I know Detective Woodpenis is watching his wire to be sure that Mo isn't acting up again, for which he has promised to come for my ass. Of course, there needs to be a new burner phone, since I gave the old one to the unhoused person to use out when I left the station last time. Instead of making a purchase near my home, I drove to surrounding cities and approached people on highway exits with signs. For a couple of bucks for whatever they wanted to buy, they would go into the store and buy me a burner phone. I did this 3 times. Why 3? I would stash one burner in a location away from my house. This would be the number for people to call me on. I silenced it and plugged it in at a YMCA locker room before hiding it and praying housekeeping wouldn't locate it. I set it to forward all calls to a second burner, which I similarly hid at a second location. Burner number 2 forwards all calls to the one that was in my possession, hopefully miring the exchange in a maddeningly muddied chain of contact to throw authorities off of my scent. Now, we must address the reason for the secrecy, no? While scouring the dark web, and of all places, Reddit, I learned that in 2023, now 9 years and 11 months after the death of Walter White, people are still trying to secure the recipe for his blue meth from Breaking Bad. As mentioned before, my new thing with Mo Phillips is still crime, but the victims are carefully selected as people deserving of punishment. Knowing what I know about the behaviors of manufacturers, sellers, and users, sometimes one is all 3 at once, I had my mark. But first, I would need to zero in on how I would do it. You know what? Put that on pause. It'll be back in a bit. Establishing a username not specifically saying Mo Phillips, but also absolutely saying Mo Phillips, I lurked for a little while to establish a little seniority. Then I would comment on posts as conservatively and competently as I could so as to not come off as a narc or a giddy little stick-up kid. Once I had the trust of the community, I began receiving DMs about whether I had a line on that blue shit, as some of them called it. Again, not to get too giddy, I left the first wave of them on unread and continued lurking and commenting. Once it became clear to the people of the communities that the new guy might be onto something, I started to respond to messages, not with words, but with a picture. In the picture was a Pyrex bacon dish full of the least cloudy blue rock candy I could find in the candy stores around. When pressed for details on how I did it, I demurred and explained that being the only one with it was a moneymaker, and how I was out for clientele and not to give seminars. Naturally, of course, people wanted to get their hands on it to test the product. I got aggressive, basically yelling at them for daring question me to either trust that one can trust that I know what I'm doing or to go fuck off. Wild as this sounds on its surface, it has worked at least once to deliver someone to the White House. Damn if it didn't work here. A couple of people naturally went on about their lives and left it alone, but the desperate ones pushed through and asked how to acquire. I explained that we would work strictly through dead drops, public places, with people, ostensibly police, present, so no one's inclined to have to shoot it out with a tweaker with the possibility of children in the crossfire. On the day of the deal, they call the burner. I provide them with a set of GPS coordinates and a time. Once at the location, I'm watching where he is told to put the money. A random teenager paid by me picks up and confirms the package and gives me the signal. Then I tell him where he is to retrieve his product. I would never use the same place twice, not even for the same person if it ever came to that. But this is fucking sugar and food coloring, so there will not be a same person situation. I was able to complete 4 of these deals. Knowing I had just sold dum-dums to 3 users and 1 likely seller, I logged into the account of Burner 1 in the chain and blocked the number and the user from DMing me as soon as I had money in hand. All good. I hosed a tweaker and some bad people out of their cash, right? Well, when it came to number 5, I followed my established pattern for the dead drop, but got a little sweaty when it looked like the cop in the park was watching. It turns out that he wasn't calling in or for anyone to assist with the drug deal obviously taking place in front of him, but scrolling through motherfucking TikTok videos instead of paying attention. Either way, the stress of almost possibly being outed by the fuzz caused me to get a little sloppy, and I forgot to block the phone number after I had my money in hand. I should have known this shit was unsustainable. Eventually, even the blocked users would confer among themselves and either stop fucking with me or try to set me up. What I hadn't thought of was that this one last asshole would keep calling and calling so frequently that I didn't even have time to decline his call and block the number. Lord knows, I was trying, but every time his incoming call would keep me from doing it, and I will be damned if I log into or near that burner account from my personal phone or computers. I had to answer. Me. Hello? Tweaker. What's this shit you sold me, bro? Me. I believe the term, as you so succinctly put it, was that blue shit? Tweaker. You sold me candy, asshole. Me. Nah, that is just not nice. Tweaker. Fuck nice. I want my Me. Look, you asked me what I sold you as if you weren't aware. Then you tell me and call me names. Tweaker. I want my money. Me. I'm gonna have to cut you loose as a customer, sir. Tweaker. I am not returning shit. What you've done here is just wrong. You stole my money. Me. Is that? Then you're gonna need to call the cops. I was stalling. While we talked on the phone, I was logging into the account and setting up the block on his number. I hung up on him and hit the button to block him, and the callback stopped. Everything is good, right? I got a few bad people for a couple of $1,000 total. No one who didn't need a little hurting got hurt. I should be allowed to enjoy the spoils of my ill-gotten gains without issue, correct? Right? Wrong. 3 hours later, I'm cutting my front yard and an unmarked cruiser pulls up. I kept working like I didn't see him. I had my noise-canceling headphones on, so I know I wasn't hearing shit. He got out and walked to my driveway, where I knew I couldn't continue to ignore him. Good afternoon, Detective Woodpenis. That's Woodcock, and you know it. Woodpenis, Woodcock, Hickory Rooster. What's the difference? What's up? Detective. We had some tweaker call the station yammering on about paying a few $100 for fake meth. Me. And this has what to do with me exactly? Detective. He says that he linked up with some guy named Mo Phillips on the dark web. Me. And we established before that I don't know who that is. Wait, a tweaker, you say? Detective. Yep. Me. Since when does your type invest anything in what that type says? Detective. Well, never usually, but this Mo Phillips thing. Me. And the evidence leads you to me? Detective. Well, not exactly, but me. Am I being detained or questioned? Detective. Well, no, but me. Well, either shoot me right here while my dogs and those kids over there are watching, detain me and bring me in for questioning with my lawyer, or have a good day, sir. Me. I don't know Dan Mo Phillips, and I don't hang out in tweaker circles. Detective. Have a good day. He slumped his shoulders and huffed before getting in the cruiser and storming off. I drove out into the county and disposed of the one burner in my possession and let the other two expire and prayed that I don't have to meet him again.